It's time to start your morning by taking 5. Here's your host, Matt McMaster.
You're listening to Take 5, a quick 5-minute take on the biggest things happening in Nebraska sports. I am your host, Matt McMaster, and today we are talking about the Final Four. It is set for the second time in NCAA history, for the first time in 17 years, and funny enough, for the second time in San Antonio. All 4 number 1 seeds are in the Final Four of the NCAA tournament. It is an outcome that, honestly, you could have seen kind of coming and formulating back in late January, early February. It was very apparent that this NCAA season, around kind of that mid-conference time, was incredibly top-heavy. We saw Auburn dominating the SEC. We saw Houston dominating the Big 12. You saw Duke dominating the ACC. You saw Florida kind of picking it up after, some injuries that were suffered, that they were developing into a really good team under Todd Golden. And so as the year had kind of gone on, it became more and more apparent that, man, these 1 seeds, these top seeds, 1s and 2s, were going to be really, really good and really hard to beat. And even when we got into March, we talked about the fact that you do not want to be an 8 or 9 seed when Selection Sunday came around. You wanted to avoid having to play a 1 seed in the round of 32, that if you were going to get to the Sweet 16, it was way more advantageous to be a 7 or even a 10 seed to get there, which is exactly what we saw with Arkansas, who, played what I would have, and at the time kind of considered the weakest number 2 seed in St. John's, just because they didn't have the offensive metrics and free throw percentage and 3-point percentage in order to make a deep run into the tournament. And then, you kind of get to play a 7 and then you move on, right? So, it was very clear from the get-go that these 1 seeds were damn good, and that this was a possibility. And there were plenty of people out there, analysts and national people, and maybe people who followed the sport pretty closely in your NCAA tournament bracket pool, who picked 4 number 1 seeds to make the tournament. I think pre-tournament, you were like, oh, come on, that's way too chalky. You might have made a couple of jokes. You referenced the fact it's only ever happened once in the NCAA tournament. But now, here we are. And it's absolutely incredible. You have the very best teams in the country playing each other with a shot to win the national championship, and that's the most you can ask for. And I feel like we look in, kind of tournament past, you see these Cinderellas, these 7, these 8 seeds, first off, they're not meant to win the NCAA tournament, but then you're also on the kind of cusp of rooting for certain matchups. Hey, I prefer this team to win and that team to win because I really want to see these 2 teams play. I don't think that's the case at all for this Final Four. Duke, Florida, Auburn, and Houston, they all could end up playing, you could mix that up as much as you possibly can, and I would still be incredibly satisfied with what the national championship matchup is going to be. Duke, Houston, Florida, and Auburn not only are the top 4 in KenPom this year, but they are top 4 of the top 6 KenPom rated teams of all time. I mean, it is absolutely incredible how good these teams and how deep they are. Quick synopsis of all of them. Duke, definitely the most skilled team out of the 4. They got the most draft picks. You got Tyrese Proctor. You got Con Knippel. You got Milo Walk. You got Cooper Flagg, who is, the crown jewel of not only just this team, but the NCAA in general. He is by far the best player. Super impressed with what he's been able to do, not only just this season, but in the NCAA tournament at the highest level with the highest pressure. He has come through over and over and over again. I think at this point, it's pretty clear that they are the favorite amongst these 4 teams, which is impressive in itself. Then you look to a team on the other side of the bracket, Florida. Florida's deep, man. They are a rebounding team. They got a ton of size. Their offensive rebounding percentage is one of the best in the country at 40%, which is absolutely incredible. It's almost like every time your team is playing Florida, when a shot goes up, you're holding your breath because you just don't know if your team's going to come down with a rebound. And Florida is always on the boards, but on top of that, they have an incredible guard play from Elijah Martin and from Clayton. It's incredible the contrast that they have between their front court and the back court. And Walter Clayton is one of the best closers that I've ever seen in college basketball in general. When the going gets tough and you need a big shot, he's going to be there to hit it. You look at Houston. Houston looked dominant yesterday against Tennessee. I mean, they were just bigger, faster, stronger, more physical. They play incredible defense. Kelvin Sampson is one of the best coaches in all of basketball, period, end of story. What he's built over there at Houston is absolutely incredible, second to none. They've been consistently at the top of the NCAA, and they got a chance. They got a legitimate chance with just how they play as a team, but then also you got to factor in LJ Cryer, is just one of the best players in the country right now, and they looked dominant against a really, really good Tennessee team yesterday. And then our final team, Auburn. Auburn has been your kind of consistent number one overall seed all year. I definitely do think, though, there is a bit of a worry with Auburn. Number one, because I don't think they're playing their best basketball of the season right now at this very moment. I think their best basketball of the season probably came around January to February. And they haven't necessarily been bad this tournament. Hell, they've made it all the way to the Final Four, but they definitely haven't been at their peak powers. But Janiah Broome, currently having an elbow issue. He injured it yesterday against Michigan State. He had to leave to the locker room. He ended up coming back. He didn't look 100%. It'll be a really big story to see if Broome can end up and be 100% or close to 100% for this Final Four game, because if he is not, I really don't think Auburn is going to have a chance against Florida. But there's your Final Four. There's your breakdown. That's been Take 5, and I've been Matt McMaster.